This video is going to be kind of weird. In the I Did Everything series, we focus on looking at getting all of the different achievements that there are in various games. And as of recording this game just came out last week, so it feels like it's a great time to go over it. However, Dale and Dawson's stationary supplies is a little bit weird. The achievements aren't super hard to get, and it's primarily a multiplayer game. And by primarily, I mean entirely a multiplayer game. So this is a little bit out of the wheelhouse of what I normally like to cover, but this game feels like it could be the next Lethal Company or the next Among Us even, so I really wanted to get this video out. And while we got all of the achievements, and we will cover that, we're mostly going to be talking about how good this game has been so far, so I hope you enjoy. As this is a multiplayer game, you begin in the lobby. This game already has a couple of different maps that you can take a look at, one specifically that you might recognize. But these maps go up to pretty high player counts actually, I believe 18 to 21, with the lowest count being 4. So we can play with a wide range of group sizes. I've only played with 6 or 7 though, so your mileage may vary on the other sizes. When the game begins, we get loaded into an office, a la The Office, I guess, and we get assigned a role. For this first game, we are assigned the manager role, which is kind of the boss of the whole group, and you will be making the decision on who gets fired and who stays to the end. The actual gameplay of this game is essentially Among Us, with the good team being the specialists and the bad team being the slackers, with the manager being a part of the specialist team and the only confirmed good player. So everybody gets this list of tasks that they need to complete that gets refreshed every once in a while after you've completed your full list. And the goal of the manager is to figure out who the slackers are and fire them, and the goal of the specialists is to complete all of their tasks and hopefully force out the slackers on their own. They could also help the manager out and catch them, but you know, really the manager's the one in charge. Look at me here, I'm taking great command of the office. It's also important to note that this game relies on proximity voice chat to work, so that is very similar to Lethal Company if you're familiar with that, with you being able to scheme with your fellow bad guys or scheme against the slackers with your fellow good guys, as everyone can't hear you through the different walls of the office. This also leads to a lot of the hijinks and fun in this game. In addition to the proximity voice chat, every desk is also equipped with a phone line you can use to contact all of the other desks. I earned the achievement Popular here for getting my first phone call, but I actually completely missed this because I was the manager and getting pulled in 50 different directions. But later on when I tried the phone line, it's actually really good. So now seems like a good time to talk about what the actual tasks in this game are. Some tasks are good and some tasks are bad, and they all correspond to that bar at the top of the screen. Except the problem is some good players can get bad tasks. So seeing someone complete a slacker task doesn't necessarily mean that they are a slacker. There are a couple of exceptions, like if you light a trash can on fire, that is a slacker exclusive task, but for the most part it's kind of hard to tell who is who. And also, just like Among Us, the majority of the tasks in this game are pretty easy to complete, but they're based on office work because this is set in an office, so obviously they are. Quite a few of the tasks involve printing things out of your computer, sending emails, getting papers signed by different people in the office, and delivering the paperwork to different trays throughout the office. It's also good to know that regular specialists and slackers each have 3 tasks to complete at a time, but the manager only has 1, so we pretty quickly earn the achievement Getting Productive for finishing up all of our tasks. As the manager, there is a clock ticking down warning you of the need to find and fire at least one of the slackers, and once you do that, you'll have bought yourself a little bit more time. So once you have a hunch on who that slacker might be, you can go ahead and return to the conference room to call everybody back and then have a nice conversation about what everybody's seen and who the potential slackers are. It's also important to remember that this is not a voting process. Once the manager has has decided they know who the slacker is, they go to the board and fire them, which earns me the achievement You're Fired in this case, but you gotta remember that there's a risk here. You could also accidentally fire a specialist, which would be pretty bad. An interesting thing about this game is that there is a board in the conference room that lists how many slackers and specialists are left, as well as how many more people you can fire in the current run. This is kind of interesting because you get immediate feedback on if the person you fired was a good choice or not, and when you fire a specialist, things get a little bit worse for you, but if you fire a slacker, things start to feel a little bit more relaxed in the office. Another interesting thing about this game is that the first person you fire gets to stay in the office as a janitor unless you fire them again, which is probably a good choice if you fire a slacker first, but then all subsequent people fired after that initial person get kicked out and just go into free cam and have to watch the rest of the game play out. So for me, that kind of made me feel like as the manager, after one person was sitting out, I kind of wanted to speed the process up to get them back in the game, which is probably not the best way to play from a strategy point of view, but from a fun point of view, it's more fun to have everybody actually doing something the whole time. I also haven't played with any online groups yet, so I don't know the actual quality of like trying to find random groups to play with online, but if you've already got a group of friends that you're trying to play with, games are super easy to get into, the lobbies load quickly, and also it's really easy to close and open this game back up. It's basically no time at all. But again, the majority of this footage was recorded on launch day, so the time that I accidentally left the lobby open, we got a lot of people to fill in randomly just right off the bat, so I don't know if that'll keep going into the future, but at least at one point it was pretty easy to find a public lobby. This game also seems to have quite a few different customization settings that you can access while in the lobby. In addition to changing through the maps, you can also change the slacker amount, the difficulty, and the different kinds of tasks you can get. So that's very cool for this game right off the bat. The second game that we played, I was also randomly assigned to be the manager role. This is kind of weird because it was a 1 in 6 chance for our lobby that we were playing in, but you know, it is what it is, variance or whatever, right? In this game, we get to take a look at some new tasks like feeding the office cats and learning that trash cans can in fact be lit on fire. In our third game, I finally get assigned a normal role, just a regular specialist, so I can finally see how the game is played from the other side of the desk. One feature of being a regular specialist is that the manager can promote you to being an assistant, which is where we earn the achievement number 2. The assistant is interesting because you don't actually get any additional powers per se, but there is one important reason for a manager to promote a trusted player to be the assistant that we'll get to a little bit later in this game. As a specialist, your tasks interact with other players a lot less directly other than the manager, so it's a lot more of getting your new tasks, completing those, and then waiting for new tasks to roll out onto you. We also haven't really discussed the maps up to this point. The first map we played was a pretty straightforward, just regular office in the middle of nowhere. This one is actually in New York City, so we're in kind of more of a high-rise style vibe, and there's actually an elevator that you can take to go to the warehouse and the actual office. We'll get to the third office as well soon, and that one's probably the most exciting of them. And I suppose this isn't so impressive considering all of the other things that are featured in this game, and other games for that matter, but this game also features an email system. It'd be nice to be able to reply or set up email chains where you can have multiple people on one email, but it's kind of cool that you can actually like send messages to other people in the game. So getting back to an actual gameplay mechanic, every map has a replace manager box sitting somewhere that is on a cooldown after every meeting ends. So here, if you can get a majority of the lobby to agree to replace the manager will be removed from office and another player will be put in the manager's spot. Now, if you have an assistant assigned, this person will be promoted to manager. So it's a good idea to have a trusted player in that role. And I assume that this is in place because it'll allow you in a random lobby to vote out a manager that's AFK or messing around the whole time or whatever. But it can also be good in this case where a couple of slackers can team up to vote out the manager or, just swing the vote in your favor in some way. In the next game, I finally got the role that everybody really wants while playing these games. I got to be a slacker. And another cool thing to note about this game is you can see your fellow slackers, but that's actually an option you can turn off in the settings if you want things to be even a little bit more challenging. And in addition to a lot of other fun tasks that we can complete in this role, we also get to see firsthand what it's like to light a trash can on fire. Back on the computer, but this time as a slacker, a pretty common task you can get is to either play Snake or Minesweeper, two games that I am quite bad at, but luckily you don't need to win every time to actually get credit for completing this as a slacker, so that's nice. Unfortunately, maybe I spent a little bit too much time starting fires and playing Snake for my first attempt at Slacker because I do get caught and lose the game for our team, but at least I earned the achievement Pack Your Things for getting fired for the first time. After that, we finally checked out the third and final map that is currently in this game, and this is quite the familiar scene if anybody has actually seen The Office. They did a really good job recreating what is essentially just The Office from The Office, and as you walk around here, it's very clear to see the inspiration behind this game and all of the love that really went into getting the details of this down. I was honestly maybe more impressed than I should have been at the detail that they recreated this with, but I was very happy to see this and it was great to play. After playing for a little bit longer, I finally got to the point where I was the first person fired in a game in which I happened to be a slacker. So because I was the first person fired, I earned the achievement Janitor and I became the Janitor. Now, as the Janitor, you're kind of in a weird position because you know who the other slacker is in this case, but I'm not really sure which team you're intended to play for. The only tasks that you get are Where's the Janitor, which is for picking up and throwing away trash, but I'm not really sure if you're supposed to play for the good team or the evil team at this point. It would make sense to play for the evil team because you know who the other one is and you could just rat them out at this point. But the other interesting feature of the Janitor is that you end up with a set of master keys that you can use to lock and unlock any door in the map. And this can be used for some horrible trolling, as you might imagine. So playing this online, this is probably where things could get a little bit bad if someone was a little bit upset that they died and decided to start trying to trap people. Or if you just want to mess with your friends like I did. Another thing I haven't really mentioned up to this point is this game actually does have pretty decent variety when it comes to character customization, though I would definitely like to see more in the future. Though one weird thing about this game is that I bought this cool Hawaiian shirt for some of the money that you earn by playing the game, but it seems like only people that own the Hawaiian shirt can actually see it in game, so it's really hard to flex on the beginners that you've got this cool fancy shirt. I would really like to see this expanded upon in the future, along with different haircuts and, different items of clothing that you can actually wear. The final relevant achievement to talk about in this game is Keep on Slacking for winning a game as a slacker, which I finally ended up doing after actually quite a few attempts at it. It's kind of weird that this game doesn't have the same achievement for winning as a manager or winning as just a regular specialist, but it's not too bad to have a game like this with relatively low achievement bloat. So now I can officially say I have done everything in Dale and Dawson stationary supplies, although it was pretty easy. So this game came out 3 days ago and I already have 8 hours in it, which is pretty crazy considering it's just some random game that I actually saw like a weird little ad for on Instagram, and of course I had to get everybody involved to come check out what this game was like. It took me 8 hours roughly to get all of the achievements. It was less than that for sure, but I'm not really sure what it was because I wasn't tracking super closely because I didn't really know if I was going to make a video out of this or not, but I really feel like this game could be something, so I really wanted to get this video out while it was relatively new. You could definitely get these achievements done a lot quicker than 8 hours, by the way. If you had a couple of friends or just bought a couple of copies of this game, you could farm through these achievements really quickly because everything is kind of determined based on playing the game, and there's not like a grind to it or anything, which is good because you don't want too much bloat like the Among Us achievements are kind of notoriously rough. But it would be nice to see a little bit more depth to them, maybe, but also that's not really what this game is about, right? Overall, I have had a fantastic time with this game, and this is one of the few games that I think I'll actually keep playing into the future, even though I've got all of the achievements. It'll be a pretty nice game to, like, sit down, you know, we've got 6 people around, which, by the way, I think is the lowest number that you can possibly play this game with and have it be any amount of fun at all. But you got the 6 people around, you don't know what to play, so you just hop in and play around in the office for a little bit. I think it's Among Us, but extremely low stakes, and I think this game could be really special if they keep improving, add more maps, more tasks to do, and improve on these skins and things like that, because honestly that is a huge part of modern gaming. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think this game could be anything? Is there potential here? I think there is, and I hope that that came through in this video. Sorry about this being a little bit of a weird one. We'll be back to a regular kind of style achievement grind next week. But as always, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Anything you want to say, please leave down below in the comments, and I hope to see you next week. See you!